Thank you, Madam Speaker. And look, I rise to support the passage of this important piece of legislation which will help rebuild our territory economy. And let's not forget that. That's the focus of this legislation. And I'm actually going to try and be fairly succinct because I know we've got a busy day coming up. Obviously, other people to speak. We will go into the important consideration of detail, I expect. And that's why I'll try and keep my comments succinct. But let me focus on three key points. Three key points. First, let's dispel the myth that this legislation has been snuck into the Parliament by this government with no consultation. I'm not too sure where the opposition has been over the last 6 months, but obviously they have not been paying attention, just like they ignored and paid no attention to Territorians during their last term of government. Madam Speaker, not only was the establishment of Territory Coordinator openly brought by the CLP to the last election, and you all remember our plan, let me just quote, just in case you've forgotten, we will install the Territory Coordinator, which will ensure major projects are fought for, started quickly and completed on time. It will also be able to intervene on decision-making when government is taking too long to finalise a decision. So that's what we said then. But as the Treasurer also mentioned in his speech, we also brought this in our 2020 election platform. So let's not feign surprise that we are delivering now on what we said we were going to do some 5 years ago. I'm bloody glad we're doing it right now. And yes, we have run this bill via the re-established Legislation Scrutiny Committee, a committee that was scrapped by the previous Labor government. So please, can the opposition stop preaching the openness and transparency argument when their actions in government showed no commitment to this? Second, this bill is an important initiative to help rebuild our economy, as I said before. And doesn't the Territory need it, given the destruction of our economy by the previous Labor government and the parlous state of our Territory finances inherited by this government? Madam Speaker, we need to attract private sector investment into our critical industry sectors, and the introduction of a Territory Coordinator will send a clear message to the private sector that we are truly open for business again. And personally, if its introduction just assists in the future development of our onshore gas industry and the growth of our own source revenue base, an opportunity stymied by the previous Labor government, I believe its introduction will be fully justified. So finally, Madam Speaker, let me talk about major project facilitation. As members may know, in my previous roles with the NT government, including as Managing Director of the Office of Major Projects, Asian Engagement and Trade, I was part of core teams that successfully delivered a range of major projects to the Territory. These included the completion of the Adelaide-Darwin Railway, which was a private-public sector partnership which involved the Northern Territory, South Australian and federal governments, as well as a range of private sector partners and financiers. And I acknowledge the leadership of Chief Ministers Shane Stone and Dennis Burke and Minister Barry Coulter for their leadership during this very complex project. I was also heavily involved in the team that secured the IMPEX project, where I directly supported various Chief Ministers, namely Claire Martin, Paul Henderson, Terry Mills and Adam Giles, and various other ministers in some 20 visits to Japan to help secure and support this project. And I was directly responsible for negotiating and signing the contractual term sheet with Toll Holdings, who were the initial anchor customer for the development of the Darwin Business Park, which has now evolved into the ever-growing East Arm Industrial Precinct. Madam Speaker, Whilst we were successful in getting these projects up over long time frames, sometimes requiring special project legislation, I'm very conscious that there were moments when the delays in getting the necessary approvals and funding did risk these projects missing out on the investment window available to them at the time. I can honestly say from practical experience, if we had had the benefit of this Territory Coordinator legislation at that time, we would have been able to deliver these critical major projects much earlier and with more certainty for the benefit of Territorians. So, Madam Speaker, as I said, to rebuild our economy, we need private sector investment in our critical industries, and the introduction of a Territory Coordinator will send a clear message to the private sector that we're truly open for business again. And I am proud to be part of a united 17-member government team that will deliver this important legislation for the benefit of the Territory. Thank you.